Our guests live a life of meaning and purpose, making their dreams come true. That's what makes regular people exceptional. Become empowered. Hello, Sofia, beautiful. How are you today?
Hi, Sandra. I'm really good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm delighted to have you in the program. And
Thank you so much for having me.
my pleasure and my honor. I had the honor and pleasure to meet this young lady during our Egypt trip with Nassim Haramein in October. Now is January. And well, because we were coming and going and sharing buses and sharing food and sharing a lot of experiences there, sometimes Sofia was sharing some of the experience that she's gone through and some training that she's gone through, but the training that's preparing her for life. And when she was telling us all that, I thought, oh my God, the world needs to do this. Because being as young as she's so prepared for life, for so many things. Number one, she was already in Egypt at her age. Is that okay that we say your age?
Yes, I just turned 21 in December.
She was only 20 when she was there. And there weren't that many young people in that trip. So it says a lot that you were there with your sister as well as she was there, your brother-in-law. So this is common in your family. Would you like to share with us how your family prepared you and your siblings to be such an extraordinary young woman?
Thank you so much. With Nassim personally, or specifically, my family's been following his work for many years, and we've been listening to his podcast and his interviews. We've seen the movies and the documentaries that he's been in. So we've known about him for many years. When my mom discovered that he was hosting a seminar in Egypt, we all really wanted to go. But my parents weren't able to make it, which is why they couldn't go. But Andrea, my sister, her husband Tristan, and I, we just felt we couldn't pass up on that opportunity. So we decided to just go and make it. My parents have been learning about health and alternative living for many, many years, ever since I would say about 16 or 17 years ago. We grew up, my sister and I, being very mainstream, actually, and my parents also. And then we had a couple of health scares when I was younger that made my parents realize that they really had to change their ways and realize that the conventional living, Western medicine, Western diets are not built for giving you a healthy life and giving you opportunities in life, really. They started learning and taking courses and classes, and that just kind of snowballed until eventually they found Nassim and they found Joe Dispenza and other like-minded individuals who are, teaching people about health and how to really live life.
So everything started because of health issues, and then your
Yeah.
parents learned how everything was connected. Not just
Hmm.
health, but it had to do with everything. You need to eat well, you need to think well, you need to, yeah, to feed your mind as well as your body
Exactly.
and all that kind of things.
Exactly, yes.
And they started practicing in them as well, or did they practice on you, girls?
No.
How did that happen?
They do a good combination of both. There are some things that me and my sister end up being the guinea pigs for first, and then a fair amount of things where they test it out on themselves before ever trying like to get Andrea and I into it. They learn about a lot of things and they spend a lot of time learning and either taking classes or watching courses online. So before they actually try something, they're pretty well versed in what it is that they're doing, and they know the steps that they should be taking. It's not just like, oh my god, I learned about this, let's go and try it. There's actually thought process and information and knowledge behind those actions.
Share with us not everything, but some of the main points that you would have learned going to the high waters camps. Tell us something about them, because
Uh-huh.
that was like, what?
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit of what Headwaters is. It's a wilderness survival school in the Shasta Mountains in California. way in Northern California. It was created by this man called Tim Corcoran, and he has probably over 100 acres of forest by now. He's very in tune with nature and with animals and spirituality, and he wanted to create a place where nature could have its chance to just be without people corrupting it or trying to change it or hurting it. And he wanted to create that space also for people, and he wanted to teach people like, hey, this is the correct way you should be in nature, this is how you should be treating plants and the trees and animals, and how you should be treating yourself as well. So he created this wilderness survival school. He teaches courses all through the summer, a winter class, and then in the spring, he offers some school field trip options where he works with specific schools to cater a program to teach kids what it is they're learning at the time, or just something that works for that class particularly. And so he offers a couple of backpacking through the mountains. He does plant identification and how to use those plants. So, how to not only identify the plants, but how to create them into medicines and foods. He does Indian philosophy, so Native American philosophy. And that's actually the first class I ever took when I was 12 years old. With my sister, we went and we stayed there for 2 weeks, which was the first time that my parents had ever really let us leave the house. We grew up pretty strict, so get being allowed to leave and be gone without my parents was like, wow, like I'm a big girl now, like it was very exciting. My parents are very open-minded, and at that point, they'd already been learning about alternative methods and health and philosophies. But learning from Headwaters was a completely new thing concept that I had just never imagined or conceived was possible. We did a lot of meditations we did one, I'm trying to remember what it's called. I think it's called a rebirth meditation, where you doing some practices that the Native Americans did, and kind of like a Wim Hof breathing technique. You go into this meditational trance and you go back spiritually, you go back to your birth, or even before your birth, when you were.
Yeah,
uh,
rebirthing. No, that's called rebirthing.
yes, I suppose so, yeah. It's just an opportunity to go back and consciously view your whole life and see what it is that you were doing and where you can improve on. For me, that was a really, really intense experience. It really opened my eyes to everything, because I realized how blindly I'd been living. I realized that that's not what I wanted. And so for me, those first 2 weeks that I spent in Headwaters, it was nowhere near enough. And then after that, every year for the following 8 years, I think I spent the entire summer there. So all 2 or 3 months, just taking all the lessons. And there's different stages of how you can take the classes. You can either just be a student, you can be an apprentice, you can be a work trader. And eventually, if you know enough and have been there for long enough, you can even become an instructor. I was a student that first time, and then after that, I went from being an apprentice to a work trader, and I even helped out one summer as an instructor. It completely changed my life, and I I honestly owe everything not everything, but a grand part of who and how I am to Headwaters, just saving my life and helping me become who I am and changing my world.
And how do you reconcile that with the 3D world where you go to university, if you go where you work? How can you put those two together?
Well,
The health seems quite straightforward. You can eat in a certain way, you can respect animals in a certain way, but what happens when you go out there and you need to earn your living?
uh-huh.
And then you say, well, I don't know, cross a river and make a raft in half an hour. It's like, yeah, so what?
Yeah. So yes, so most of the tools that they teach is wilderness survival. So how to trap, skin, and process animals, how to make shelters, how to make tools. So it's not things that are conventionally useful in the city or town, really. But they also do teach a lot about just how to be self-efficient, how to be reliable, and how to be capable and intelligent, how to be kind. So a lot of these things transfer into your normal job perhaps because they
Yeah.
teach you, you know, like I said, accountability, how to be capable, how to figure out things for yourself, how to be resilient, how to take the initiative. I would say it helps you in every aspect because you learn how to be your own person and not only be your own person, but be someone who is capable and who is usually an asset in a work environment or a school environment. I mean, it helped me not to be lazy and, you know, just like figure things out on my own and realize that I am fully capable of doing everything. I just either don't know how yet and I need to figure that out, or also even just asking for help. A lot of people don't do that. We're a community, we can ask for help. So it's, I would say it just really helps in every aspect of your life, or at least it has for me.
Yeah, it makes sense. So being in contact with nature and being relying on your capabilities helps you in any other aspect of your life because it's teamwork, it's a
Yes.
survival thing, it's mindset, and it's
Mhm.
cutting the shit. I mean, it's don't give me any shit. Come on,
Exactly. Ex That is very accurate, yes. Mhm.
yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can see there's a cat here, and I'm a bit envious, I must say, because I love animals. What's your
Yes.
what's your relationship with animals? How do you see animals? Do you communicate with them? What do they tell you? What do you get from them? What do you give them?
Ever since I was little, I've loved animals. There was never a doubt in my mind that I was gonna grow up to work with animals or be around animals. I mean, I wanted to be an animal when I was a baby. Like, if you ask my mom, there's countless stories of me insisting people call me a horse or something like that. I've always had a very good connection to animals. I find it very easy to connect with them. They like me, I like them. And I've always known that I want to help animals. So, what I'm doing right now for my studies, for example, I'm doing my ND degree in the science of natural health and healing. And after that, I want to do veterinary school. And while in veterinary school, take courses that are specified in being a naturopathic practitioner for animals. Because my dream is to open up a clinic, perhaps. I'm not sure what the actual name is, but open up my own business where I can take care of animals and heal them, sort of like a vet would, but using natural and holistic medicine, as well as other methods of healing that are actually helpful and that are helpful and healthy for the animals. A lot of veterinary Western medicine processes and procedures are
Mm.
incredibly invasive and unhealthy and just detrimental to animal health. So I really want to just help animals in the best way that's made for them.
Rather than give them antibiotics, because cats, for instance, cats plus antibiotics, they don't feel well. Their
Mhm.
stomach hurts. I can feel that their stomach hurts. It's not the way to go. Plus,
Mhm.
as a vet, so many times vets are summoned to put animals down. They call it put animals down, but it's kill the animal.
Yes. Mhm.
It's
Yeah, I do think that the typical vet has its benefits, and there are many instances where they're not just helpful but also necessary, as well as like Western medicine for humans, like in the emergency room, for example. There's some things that you can't do with natural and holistic medicine that you can do with surgeries and medications, you know. But overall, I just feel like it's so harmful to the animal, and I want to be able to help cure them and heal them in a way that's best, healthy, and
Yeah.
easiest and most helpful towards them.
Yeah, I agree with you. If there's an emergency, if a cow is going to give birth and the calf is all turned inside out, you cannot be chanting around the cow because the calf is going to die. Probably the
Exactly.
cow as well. So
Uh-huh.
no chanting in the air. I mean, you need to stick your hand in, turn it around, and if it's too big, well, either cut the cow or cut the calf. I've seen that, so that those things happen. I
Mhm.
understand that, but many other times, I agree with you that there could be some ways of helping them, like
Yes.
chiropractors for animals that do a lot of they do a lot of good for them. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
When we have pets or we
Mhm.
live around animals in a farm, I know for a fact, but not scientifically, that it's are the animals that live with us, they take on themselves many ailments that we, their carers, or allegedly their carers, have, so that we don't suffer a pain, so that
Uh-huh.
we go through some tough time in life, they take it, and sometimes they even give their lives for that.
Mhm.
Again, I don't have scientific proof, even though I'm a scientist, but I don't. I sense that that's the way it is, and I've seen
Mhm.
it many times. So that's my interpretation anyway. What's your interpretation?
I don't have any scientific studies that I can cite off of the top of my head or like examples I can give. Or well, I can give examples, but I can't like name the examples. There have been countless and countless times that has happened where animals take on, like if you're feeling very depressed, if you're having a lot of anxiety, having an animal is incredibly helpful for your mental health, which, you know, people know because of emotional support pets that you see nowadays. But not only that, they can also help you a lot with not getting sick in the first place, because dogs specifically, cats also, and other animals as well, but dogs most common because you're more likely to have a dog inside a house than a goat, you know. But um, for example, dogs have been proven to lower your rates of infections, diseases, heart attacks, strokes, just because they're usually, you know, outside playing, digging, interacting with other animals, interacting with garbage, and then they come inside and they bring that bacteria into the house with you. And so then you're exposed to that, and your immune system becomes much more stronger, much more capable, and you just don't end up getting as sick as people that don't have pets or who are hyper OCD about germs and like bacteria and all that. You have those bacteria, those little things, you know, like they're introduced into your
Yeah,
house and into
microorganisms.
microorganisms. That was the word I was trying to think of. Yes. Thank you. Because of that, having pets in your home is not only, you know, beneficial for your health, but also your mental health. And um, I mean, if you have a dog, for example, especially if it's a bigger dog, then you're forced to go take it out on walks. So then you're healthier because you're doing more exercise. Obviously, if you have even a bigger animal than that, like a horse, that offers a whole different range of benefits to it. But animals are incredibly helpful and healing to have in your house, and I really recommend everyone have one.
And if you don't have one, as we were saying before, you can rent one part time, like I do, because I
Exactly.
feed stray cats and
Uh,
not stray birds, but birds. And actually, where I feed the birds, there's a rat
mhm.
coming as well.
Oh, really?
I'm sure there's a family somewhere
Oh, that's
with a
funny.
cat climbing up the tree and climbing down the tree and getting all the seeds.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so cute.
So that's fun, yeah. But when we bring cats into the house, are we being selfish? Do you think the animals are okay with it?
I think it depends on the situation, but generally speaking, as long as you're not locking the animal indoors, as long as you're still allowing the animal to be an animal, so playing around, giving it affection, giving it proper food, nourishment, having it run around and get its exercise, play. Personally, I think all animals need to be outside at some point or another. But if I mean, if you can't have your cat, for example, if you live in a big apartment complex, you may not have an outdoors, but if the animal still has enough space to run around and be a cat, then if you're giving it love and affection, I think it can be perfectly happy and healthy.
Fair enough. Mm, if you had a microphone in front of you, well, you do, but on the other side, the whole world were there, what would you say regarding animals or regarding things that you learned about Headwaters or from your perspective as a young person seeing what we've done with the planet so far? What would you like to say? Bring attention.
I think we as humanity need to realize that everything that we're doing to animals and to the planet, we're doing to ourselves. It's all going to reflect back on us and affect us. I mean, as well as the planet and the animals, but from the selfish point of view of us, the humans, it's all going to come and bite us in the butt because we rely on this planet and the planet relies on the animals and on us. And if we keep destroying it, then that's just like shooting yourself in the foot because what are you going to do? You live on this planet. There's no other planet that we inhabit as of yet. So we just need to realize that we're all really connected. And if we continue down this path, then it could get quite dicey for us.
Yeah, when you say that we are all connected, in what sense do you see everything connected, or in what senses?
hmm
Because that's
Um,
something that many people say, oh, we're all connected, but how? How do you see that connection?
yes. Well, first and foremost, I think that we're connected just because we're part of this planet. And so we're all part of this same ecosystem, essentially. And we create and we live and we benefit mutually from each other. So, us from the planet from us from the plants, plants from us, animals, and all that. And what we do affects nature. So, I think to begin with, we're connected from that point. However, I also think that we are connected on a deeper level, not just physically, but, and this is something that I still not question in the sense that I doubt it, but I still wonder of its extent and how it
Hmm.
works, I suppose, because I've read a lot about how we're connected spiritually as well, and how we all perhaps come from the same source. So at our essence, we are all the same. And it's just been through life and through our own journeys that we've become disconnected. And not just our own personal ones, but just like years of being disconnected that has been passed down. And so I think that it is very possible, if not completely how it is, just facts that we are all connected at the soul level or the spiritual level, however you want to call it. But I have not yet figured out how that is or why that is, or even the best way to tap into that and realize that connection and use it in the best and fullest potential that we can. But I think it would make sense that we all come from the same and we have the ability to realize that and be connected and work in that unity. And not only that, but communicate with each other in ways that don't require, verbal words. Just by being more in tune with ourselves, we would be more connected as a whole because we are connected.
And do you think that animals and plants and fungus, the rest of nature, they are still connected to the source, or it's only us humans have become a bit disconnected or very disconnected in some cases? Do you think that that separation between us and them?
Yes, I would say that they are more connected to the planet, to the universe, more connected in general. I think that we as humans have lost that connection and that ability to recognize that connection. Obviously, not everyone and to different degrees, but in regards to that specific connection, I do think that animals are more in tune to it and live by it and are still not governed by it, but still follow that rule, if that makes sense.
Mm. And do you think they're happier
uh,
animals?
mhm. I
Is there such a thing as happiness for an animal?
I think that there is such a thing as happiness for an animal. I don't know if I could. I don't know if that would warrant. I mean, I imagine that would warrant a happier life, but I don't know if it's happiness in that sense that us humans describe as happiness. You know, I think it is a much easier, simpler, more peaceful way of living, which could translate into happiness.
Yeah.
But I guess here it would depend on if animals experience happiness the way that we humans experience happiness.
Hmm. Well, you pointed out there peace, living
Hmm.
in peace. That's blissful. That's even better than happiness, isn't it? From my point
Yes.
of view, for sure.
Hmm.
For peace to happiness, prefer blissfulness to happiness.
Yeah, I suppose that could be true. Hmm.
You were saying that we are all connected to source. We all come from source.
Yes.
If we all come from source and we are all connected to source, does it make sense to think that reincarnation happens all the time? Because it will be the same thing recycling all the time.
Hmm. I don't think it's exactly that of the same thing recycling all the time, but it would stand to reason that reincarnation is not only possible, but something that happens constantly. Like I mentioned before, this is still something that trying to figure out more on and learn more on the topic because I believe that the universe is conscious and that we're all connected and that yes, also you as a soul could have chosen this life, and then if you didn't fulfill or learn what your soul needed to, or it the word soul can be interchangeable with whatever you believe, spirit or essence, but if you didn't learn what you needed to learn, that you can come back again, reincarnate to learn that lesson again, or even help someone else learn a lesson that they need to learn. However, that would then signify that to an ex or that everything happens for a reason, I suppose, and that there is a reason and a purpose to everything that happens. And I guess I just can't figure out yet what reason would justify some actions or some occurrences. But I guess also then I don't need to understand it. I just need to learn my lesson and move on.
Experience
But
it.
yeah, exactly. But I'm a very logical person and I like learning and understanding and knowing the reason for specific things and how they work and why they work and why they had to happen and how they had to happen. So that, I suppose, is just my logical mind getting in the way and being like, no, but why? Why did this happen to happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? I guess that for me, that's something that I still need to learn. Just learn my lesson, accept that it happened, and move on. Just take my hands off and just learn and move on.
Appealing to that logic mind of yours,
Hmm.
what do you think is the purpose of being in the earth, of being in a body, of inhabiting this body, of having a human experience? What do you think is that? Is there any point?
So yeah, that's the thing. That's why I still, I wouldn't say struggle exactly, but keep questioning it. And I can't be fully appeased by the, oh, like we're all connected, the universe is conscious, and there's a plan for everything. Because logically, I don't see a point. I don't understand how or why we happened, like who created us? If it was the universe, then why did the universe create us? How did it create us? Why did it create us? Like, what is the purpose? If, if we're supposed to be here in this physical body and have these human experiences, what is the point? Because humans kind of die fairly young. 100 years isn't that long, especially if you think about the hundreds of thousands of millions of years that everything else has been alive and going on. So if we're meant to be here, why for such a short period of time? What's the purpose? What's the reason, So I don't know. So I can't really answer that because I haven't figured out a response that satisfies me.
Fair
We are
enough.
here, so might as well get the best out of it that we can.
Yes, fair enough. I'll leave it there. You were mentioning before some of the great teachers that you've come across and that your parents put in front of you as well. One of them was Joe Dispenza, a great fan. I've been
Yes.
to his events, and I really like the way that he puts together spirituality and science and how he proves everything for the non-believers. I think I feel that what he says makes sense. I
Mhm.
haven't found something that I say, hey, gotcha. That doesn't add up. Not yet.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
I would like to know, Sophia, how what he teaches has impacted you. Well, he teaches and he lives through, because I mean, the guy was supposed to be on a wheelchair.
Mhm.
How his teachings and his way of life have impacted you? How do you take that on board, live through it, and use it?
Well, like I previously just said, I'm a very logical person and I can't accept answers of like, oh, just because this is how it is type of thing. So, and like I mentioned more before, I grew up pretty mainstream. So I had candy for lunch, breakfast, dinner, all that, and we ate very poorly. So when we made like our diet changes and our lifestyle changes, it was very hard because I was very addicted to sugar. And so any chance I would get, I would run away to my friends' houses or to school and just like load up on sugar, candies and desserts, pastries, anything, right? And my parents would always tell me like, "No, Sophia, you're not allowed to have candy." And I'd be like, "Why not?" And they'd be like, "Because we said so." And that to me wasn't a good enough reason because, anyone can say anything. But, if there's no proper reason behind it, then why do I need to follow that rule? So it wasn't until they explained like, "Oh, well, okay, candy has sugar. Sugar is bad for you because so and so, right?" And so with someone like Joe Dispenza, who I really like watching his videos, he explains what he says. He doesn't just say, "Oh, you need to go out and exercise because that's what it is." He explains like, "Oh, well, if you exercise, your mental health is a lot better, your physical health is a lot better, so many other reasons, right?" And so actually listening to him explain everything and explain it in a way that um, is understandable to someone who's not a scientist or a doctor. It's very inspiring, but it also makes me realize like this is easy. Health is easy, and it's really just the mainstream world that's telling you like, "Oh no, like you can't take care of your own health. Leave it in the hands of the professionals. It's so complicated. Like, we'll us the doctors will tell you what to do." Where it's like, "No, it's very simple. Anyone can take care of their health. Everyone should be able to take care of their health." And if you take care of your health, then it gets to a point where you just don't there isn't anything else that you need to be consciously taking care of because you're healthy. You're just living and enjoying life instead of being weighed down by ailments or, whatever it is that's going on.
Mm.
Joe Dispenza, for example, he puts it in a way that's very easy to grasp and understand, and he just makes it enjoyable. And I really enjoy learning, so I just I don't know, I really appreciate that from him specifically.
Yeah. I had the honor and pleasure of attending some of his events. I've attended
Mhm.
7 events so far.
Oh,
So,
wow. I haven't attended any yet, but I really want to.
oh, do.
Yeah,
It's worth
yeah.
it. He talks about not being too much of a slave to diets.
Oh, okay.
He
Mhm.
says, "Oh, imagine because this, I went home after a day of work and I had wine and cheese. Imagine, and it was not vegan cheese." And he mocked he mocks some of the things that sometimes we go from one extreme to another, and he sort of pulls a piece about it
Mhm.
because he puts a lot of mm, weight in our thoughts and meditating, and but meditating in a way that we get our mind out of our body. So all that reason is like, get out of here. And now is when you can connect. And then if you can connect to source by
Mhm.
getting the mind out of the body, then your body knows, do I need meat? Do I need sugar? Do I need flour? Do I need fruit? What do I need now? And then we will be more able to know exactly what our body needs. It's not that, oh, I'll be healthy if I eat vegan because I might die because I don't have enough of whatever my body needs because my body is different.
Yes.
It's a way, just an example. Obviously, there's a limit between eat all that crap and only just crap and being so supernatural and everything is non-processed and raw and is too much and it's causing you even some stress because you just want to have, I don't know, a cake every now and then or a brownie. He talks
Yes.
about his rules, right?
Mhm.
And he drinks wine and cheese and he loves that. So what about the mindset? Because I agree with you, the way he explains things is just fantastic because it's very easy to understand for the non-medical part of the population, which is most of us.
Yes.
And then he tells things that do make a lot of sense. And you were talking about that part of, yeah, we are responsible of our health. He speaks about how there's only very few, it's like less than 5 diseases that are actually based on our DNA. Everything else we're responsible for. It's not like I'm fat because all my family is fat. No, it's because all your family is always eating crap. That's
Mhm.
what or you don't exercise. That's what happens, right?
Uh-huh.
What about all that mental part of it? What do you think of that? The meditations, the get the mind out of the body.
Mhm. Um, I think that our main issue stems from just being disconnected from our bodies or from ourself. And so if meditation specifically is what helps you reconnect with yourself and reestablish that connection with yourself, find yourself, then yes, by all means, definitely meditate. But I think it can be different for many people. For me personally, meditations do help me, but I also do struggle a bit with meditating. Fully gotten the I fully haven't gotten it down yet. So for me, I my method of like learning or connecting is I just study a lot. I study a lot and I listen to a lot of different sources. And also for me, just being in nature helps me personally.
Mm.
Um, but I think that if a person is able to reconnect to their self, then they'll be in tune with their body. And like you were saying, like you'll realize what you need. And a vegan diet, for example, it can be good for you, but it can also not, you know? So you can't say like, oh, vegan diets is the way to go. Vegan is the best, it's the healthiest. Everyone needs to be vegan because we're all different physiologically speaking. So a vegan diet may be good for you, but it may not be what's most beneficial for me. And personally, I think it's fine, you know, if every now and then you want to just like have a little cheat day and drink your wine or have some cake. I mean, I do, you know, and I would say that my diet is definitely better than, you know, a grand majority of the people. But I think it's also fine if you're perfectly happy and never splurging and never having wine, never having a dessert or something, you know, then that's what works for you and that's what makes you happy and how you feel good, you know. There's also organic biodynamic wine. So there's like between evils and evils, like you can do that instead of just going for like the typical cheap wine. Or you can there's a lot of like really healthy recipes with like alternatives for like your typical desserts. So in my house, for example, we all eat very healthy, but we also constantly eat desserts because I've found a lot of recipes for cookies and cakes and pies and even chocolate. So it eating healthy doesn't mean eating boring or eating yucky tasting foods, you know? You just have to find the right recipes and the right substitutes. I think you just need to reconnect and figure out what's best for yourself. I don't think that there's a diet that's, oh, this is the diet for everyone.
Ultimate.
Exactly, yes. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in diets, and especially like in the mainstream world, you see a lot of like, oh, this is the diet that the Kardashians use, or oh, this is the diet that the top doctors are working on to scientifically proven to lower your cholesterol levels or whatever it is, you know? And I think that dieting can be very healthy and beneficial, but I also think that most diets, if you maintain them for a long period of time, you end up lacking in other nutrients that those diets don't have that your body does require. Again, like you said before, it's just really like reconnecting to yourself, truly knowing your body, feeling your body, and from there just knowing, you know, okay, this is what I need and following through with that.
And using common sense. Yeah, and going back,
Exactly.
yeah, using common sense. Going back to Joe Dispenza, he does teach a lot of meditation, many hours, etc. However, deep down, my taking on it is not that we need to be meditating for hours on end every day, sitting on our asses or lying down or walking around. It's about what you were talking about all the time. It's about the connection. We can get the connection through so many ways.
Mhm.
So many ways to get connected to source. For you, probably is animals. If you're with an animal, I'm sure that you lose track of time, that you are into the animal, that you're blocked with him. That's meditation. That's your ego out. That's your
Mhm.
mind. That's you being in nature. And
Yes.
that's meditating because it's all about, yeah, it's all about the brain waves in coherence with the heart brain, with the heart waves. That's all it is about.
Mhm.
So we don't need to be doing the meditations that way. That's
That's
a way it teaches because that serves to a huge, large amount of people. But
that's
you're doing it
yeah,
every time you breathe.
that's very true. I do have this, concept that meditation is just, like you said, sitting on your ass, maybe listening to like a pre-recorded meditation or some like music, and then just like sitting there with your eyes closed, which I'm a very active person and I can do it, but it takes too much effort. And so then I'll be meditating and then I'm like, oh, my mind just immediately like jumps to something else. Or I'm like, oh wait, no, okay, stop moving your foot, stop tapping your foot. You need to be concentrated, zen, be blissful, But like you said, that's true. Yes. Being with animals, being in nature. For me, I guess my take on meditation is just being fully present in the moment. And that's something that a lot of people really struggle with. They can't not handle not having a distraction. And that's actually something that I really struggled with also for many years, where it was not just that I couldn't handle it, but I just flat out avoided being with myself, being with my thoughts.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I learned how to accept everything and, just be kind to myself and just like, okay, I'm going to be fully present with myself, with my body, with my thoughts, with this patch of earth, like this hike that I'm on, just present in what I'm doing in my actions. It wasn't until then that I actually made a true change, I would say.
Mm.
So, whatever that method for connecting is, doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the standard, just sit and close your eyes. It can be whatever is helpful to you. But the main thing really is just like you have to do it. So,
Was there a before and after for you? Was there one moment, one aha moment, and you say, no, I'm going to be present? Or was it over time because you were doing all the things that you were doing, like learning a lot and being taught and being in nature and everything together? What was it?
if there was an aha moment, I don't recall it.
Like a
Yeah,
process.
it's been pretty gradual. Like I said, my parents kind of started that life change when I was 6 years old. So it's been, the majority of my life learning about this. For the majority of my life, I knew logically, okay, this is what I need to do because I can't argue with it. This is the better way to eat. This is the better way to live. This is the better way to be. But I was very stuck in my ways and I was also very unhappy and I didn't take that responsibility of like, okay, I'm just perpetuating this cycle and making myself unhappy. And I also just couldn't stand, just like that silence and my thoughts and being with myself. So even though I knew about it and I knew that that's what I needed, and not just what I needed, but how I needed to be, it took me a long time to be able to get to that point of like, okay, no, I really need to make this change. And I don't think there was a specific day or
Mhm.
a specific occurrence that happened that made me change that mind, other than just I was so unhappy and there was really just no point that I could see to continue, because if life was so unfair and so like and so painful and so unhappy and so terrible, then what was the point? But I hadn't changed everything, so I hadn't tried everything, so I couldn't really say, "Oh, no, there truly is no point," until I had actually taken that last final step and, made the final changes that I needed to make. It was just, breaking free of, like, actually putting in the work and actually breaking free of, like, my thought habits and mental habits and physical habits, and just own up and take responsibility. And, there are things that happened that were out of my hands and, wasn't because of me that my situation was an unhappy one, but there were also many things that I was doing that was just making myself more unhappy and creating this sad and painful life. So
So to wrap up what you were saying right now, Sofia, is that you broke the habit of being yourself, which is one of Joe Dispenza's books.
Oh, that's funny. uh,
Starting by thought. Starting by thought.
uh, yeah, but yeah, that I mean, that's yeah,
So
exactly what happened.
wow, amazing, amazing that you realized that you needed to change your thoughts in order to change your feelings and your emotions in order to change the results
Mhm.
that were going around, which is what Joe teaches. So exactly what he teaches, whichever way that you connect and change those thoughts, that you become aware of your thoughts and then you replace them by other thoughts which are empowering. So well done to you.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's really easy to just fall into your thoughts and become your thoughts,
Yeah.
and live your thoughts when that's, usually not the best case. So it's it sounds so simple, because like, oh, like it's just a thought. But when it's years of it and you start believing those thoughts and becoming those thoughts, then it's very tricky to get out of that loop.
Yeah, but it can be done.
Yes, it
So
definitely
yeah,
can be done.
it's been amazing. I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Well,
it's a
thank you
lot.
so much for talking to me. You have fantastic questions.
Thank you. When people want to contact you, what do we tell them?
Yes. The most reliable method would be by email, which my email is my name, so Sofia, Sofia, and then the numbers 137 at startmail.com. Start
Start.
as in to begin.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you here in the program, you and your cat.
Yeah.
Was having you around.
Yeah.
Yeah, this microphone is open for whenever you want to share something else with us. I would love to know way more about this degree and this career in veterinary that you're going to do, which is going to be a little different. To
Mhm.
be a vet was my number one choice.
Really?
I didn't love being a vet, but it was my number one choice. So I will live vicariously through you.
Please do. Yes.
Thank you so much.
I will make us both proud.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Anything else you would like to say before we wrap it up? Until next time.
No, nothing that comes to mind. Just be kind to yourself, I guess.
That's very good. That's a very good one. Sofia, love you.
Yes, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.